Dem Schlange sein Straße. Hello, dear ladies, gentlemen, and eels, or whatever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Compendium of Discomfort. I have seen plenty of very, very good movies recently, and I've got to talk about them all at some point, but now we're going back a little bit to a little rewatch time, and it's gonna be a little bit like this. What's going on here? It's the Serpent's Path. This is the booklet for the remake in Japanese, Hebi no Michi, and it's a movie by Kiyoshi Kurosawa from last year. Last year he made 3 movies, and they're all excellent. One was Chime, one was Cloud, and one was Serpent's Path. This one he filmed in France, and only with a very small Japanese cast, mostly in French. And it's special because it's a remake of his own movie of the same title from 1998, and I will talk about both here because they're very, very similar, and it's very interesting to talk about the differences. So let's see what happened here. The original Serpent's Path was filmed as a project that was financed by diret, and they basically offered him to make 2 movies in 4 weeks. One was Serpent's Path, the other one is Eyes of the Spider, or what is it called? Kumo no Hitomi. Yeah. And Kurosawa wrote Eyes of the Spider together with a person named Yoichi Nishiyama, who hasn't done all that much besides this. And Serpent's Path was written by Hiroshi Takahashi, who has written some other good stuff like Ring or Ring 2. He was involved in Ju-on and some other Kurosawa movies as well. He directed some movies, and seemingly a short movie that he, like 8mm movie that he did and Kurosawa saw was so wonderful that Kurosawa said, "Oh, let's work together." And his involvement is kind of a reason why Serpent's Path is often called one part of the quadrilogy or tetralogy, whatever comes after trilogy, because Kurosawa made 2 other movies that are called The Revenge, both with Sho Aikawa, who is in Serpent's Path and Eyes of the Spider as well. And here it's similar. The one of the Revenge movies was written by Takahashi, the other one by Kurosawa. And so because it's all about revenge and all with Aikawa, I feel like it's almost like one big thematic block. And this, interestingly, this 2-movie project happened pretty much after Cure, and I think, License to Live came after this. So both like movies for cinema, and this is pretty much direct-to-video, even though Dai was like, oh yeah, let's put them in cinemas for a bit, but it's basically low-budget direct-to-video filmmaking. Like I said, 2 movies in 4 weeks, so 2 weeks each. I think for the remake he had like 5 weeks to do the whole movie, so that's a little bit more for one movie. Anyway, it's a super interesting project. It was released back in the day by Third Window Films. I own the DVD, but I think I don't have it here. At least I couldn't find it. So yeah, it's out. I believe it's out of print as well. But that was for me, my first contact with these movies, and very interesting. Somehow Serpent's Past became kind of a cult classic, while Eyes of the Spider most people don't care about it. And that's funny because it was released as one set, and I'm not sure what happened here. Why Serpent's Past became so popular, or relatively popular, while Eyes of the Spider is just more or less forgotten. Here, if we just count the logged people on Letterboxd, Serpent's Past has 6.8 thousand, and Eyes of the Spider has only 3.7 thousand. And yeah, I guess for on IMDb it's probably similar. Yeah, no, it's not that different. Here we have 740 for Eyes of the Spider and 1,102 for the Serpent's Past. But yeah, somehow Serpent's Past created this aura of a movie that's worth watching, while Eyes of the Spider didn't create anything and more or less disappeared. And that's very sad. We will talk about Eyes of the Spider later a little bit. I just want to mention now it's very, very good. I wouldn't say it's not worse than Serpent's Past. It's just a very different movie. Like, the theme is the same, the main actor is the same. How it plays out is completely different. And for me, it was like I bought this DVD. Somehow I watched Serpent's Past and I never watched Eyes of the Spider. It never happened. I don't know why. There was no reason to not watch it. It just never happened. And yeah, so until I rewatched them both, the old one and the new one, and then I was like, oh, I never watched Eyes of the Spider. Let's check that out too. And surprise, it's great. Like, what else would you expect from Kiyoshi Kurosawa? But we'll talk about that in the end of this video. So he did this project and he did a remake. Why did he make a remake? Because he heard this French studio was interested in working with Japanese directors, and he felt like the concept of Serpent's Past was too good to just let it be a direct-to-video movie that most people will never watch. So he decided to do a remake, and they were all like happy and yeah, let's do it. And so he did it. And in the original, we have the two main actors. That's Sho Aikawa. You might know him from almost every direct-to-video Yakuza movie, but maybe, yeah, some more famous titles like Pulse or Gozu, Dead or Alive, or The Eel. Eel. Yep. And then we have Teruyuki Kagara, who got in a bit of trouble recently because of some not so decent behavior while being drunk, but he's a very, very good actor. You might have seen him in Tokyo Sonata or Creepy, or maybe Memories of Matsuko. He was in one of the Kenshin, in the original Kenshin movie, in the first one. Yeah, but he did a lot of really, really great stuff as well. And in the remake, these two characters are now played by Ko Shibasaki, who you might know from Battle Royale or the Keanu Reeves 47 Ronin and Memories of Matsuko as well. So here we have a connection. And then we have, I have no idea how to pronounce it French, Damien Bonnard. No idea. You have probably seen him in like French Dispatch or Asteroid City, Poor Things or Dunkirk. So quite a common face. So what's the story about? These two people want revenge, or basically one of them wants revenge and the other one helps with it. In both cases, the one who wants revenge is a little bit helpless, doesn't really know what to do, relies on the other character a lot, but wants to revenge their daughter's death. There was some kind of organization that is responsible for that, and so they go and kidnap people and torture them and try to get information and revenge in the end. That's the basic plot. The other character In the original movie, the Sho Aikawa character is a mathematics teacher, and he teaches little very, very smart kids. There are some scenes with a girl who seems to be super smart. They do mathematics things that I can't even comprehend at all. I have no idea what's going on. Someone called it like formulas to describe the world. Yeah, it feels like that. It's a little bit of the typical mathematic genius movie cliche. Yeah, but that's a very interesting choice, because on the one hand it shows how smart this character is, and on the other hand it shows his connection to children, girls, whatever. So we have an idea why he might want to support this father in avenging his daughter's death. And in the new movie, it's a woman, and she's what is it called, a psychotherapist. And yeah, this is a completely different relationship between the characters. On the first one, we have the smart one and the one who needs some help. But here, because she's a therapist and he's a patient, not her patient, but somehow she picks him up in the hospital, there's much more relying on her, much more desperation, and yeah, much more dependence. Like, he is more scared. He can't do many things by himself. He's seems a little bit more clumsy, not as clever. And yeah, here we feel like she has much more control over him, and another job that suggests a high level of competence. Yeah, so that's the duality that's already very, very different. Then another big difference is that now it's obviously set in France. Ko Shibasaki can't speak French, or couldn't speak French. Like half a year before filming, she started to practice, and I think they were in France for 2 months, and she just rode her bicycle through the city. She does that in Tokyo as well, and likes it very much. So she just went to the market, talked to people, so she had plenty of practice just on location, and yeah, does a good job. Another Japanese actor in the remake is Hidetoshi Nishijima. You might know him from Drive My Car or Creepy or Shin Ultraman. And he's one of her patients. And he's very depressed because of his life in France. So here we have a little bit more. He's seemingly in France, not 100% on his own will or by his own will, while she is like, oh, I'm following my dreams. I'm here to fulfill my dreams. And yeah, very different dynamic here as well. So yeah, these are the most obvious differences. Another interesting thing is that in the original, the organization that kidnaps the children is basically Yakuza. But Kurosawa didn't really know how organized crime in France works, so his original idea was more like a cult. But even that was watered down quite a bit, so there's not much left of it. And in the end, we get some scenes that feel a little bit more culty, but overall just some mysterious organization. So yeah, because he didn't really know how to portray French organized crime. The same with the job. He felt like a mathematics teacher nowadays might be too stereotypical or something, so he changed the job a little bit, modernized everything a little bit. Thanks to these changes, one more important change was what they actually did with the girls. So in the original, there's a very strong snuff film element, which isn't as present in the remake. It's still there, but it's not so much the focus on what happened to the girls here. It's more like organ selling and stuff like that, and it's pretty disgusting. And so thanks to these changes, we get some more some different scenes, some other scenes. The remake is much longer. It's 112 minutes, while the original is only 86 minutes. Doesn't mean it's boring, but yeah, it has a lot of different nuances. So I just to say that now, I think both are very well worth watching, and they're very interesting. How the plot plays out, even some shots are basically the same, just a copy of what he did before. Interesting, when he did the remake, he told the crew that they can't watch the original movie. And there's a shot where one of the men that they kidnapped is chained to a wall and tries to eat, while the Koshibasaki or Shoaikawa character is doing some work on the wall, and the third character is doing some shooting practice. And it's interesting that it's basically the same shot, just mirrored, and Kurosawa didn't tell his cameraman how to do it. He just had this idea to film it the way he filmed it, which turned out to be the same idea that his other cameraman had, but opposite. So it seemingly drives Kurosawa crazy, because it's mirrored, but he couldn't really say no to that, because it's still a great idea. It's a fantastic shot. So by the way, the camera human for the original movie and for Eyes of the Spider was Masaki Tamura, who you might know from movies like Tampopo or Lady Snowblood, Eureka, or Evil Death Trap. So he has done some amazing looking movies and knows what to do. And the new one was done by Alexis Kavurchin, maybe? I'm not sure. He did another Kurosawa movie that was a daguerreotype, and I don't know any of his other movies that he did, but he did one that sounds fantastic. That's Dog on Trial. Why not? Anyway, back to the Serpent's Path. So, some people wrote something very confusing. First, that the new one doesn't offer enough new elements, So I wonder what kind of movie they watched, because the whole character dynamic is completely different. The whole setting is different. The tonality is a little bit different. The image quality obviously is different. I did a German podcast on these movies with the wonderful Daniel. So if you speak German, you can listen to that as well sooner or later. I think it will come after this video. But he just loves how the old one looks, because it's like a little more gritty and grimy because of the film stocks they used at that time. While the new one is very clean. He said a little TV-esque, but I love Kurosawa's modern image compositions and how they look and how he presents everything. Like every time I watched one of these newer Kurosawa movies in the cinema, I just felt like, great. No? So I just love how these movies look. I still love how the old Serpent's Path looked, but spoiler, I think Eyes of the Spider, same camera, cinematographer, it looks even better, much better. Anyway, wonderful looking, but different looking, different style, different dynamic, different setting, a little bit different story, little bit different conclusion. and so on. So I don't really know why people feel like, oh, there's nothing new. Yeah, if you just retell the plot, it's the same, more or less the same. But it's, I think, very, very, very different. For example, in both movies, you have a scene where, yeah, the person who wants revenge is in danger of being caught. And in the original, it plays out like the one student of the Shueikawa character gets like a flyer from somewhere on the street, like, here, we're looking for this guy, have you seen this guy? And later he comes to the school because he wants to talk to Shueikawa. And then the girl sees him, and there's a very scary scene where she's standing in a parking lot, train behind her, just staring at him. And in the end, nothing happens. And a similar moment is in the new one. And there we get to the other point where people say the old one is a black comedy, but the new one is a much more focused thriller. And then we have the scene where she is out in the city on her bicycle doing her stuff, and somehow he comes because he feels the need to do some shopping. And she's like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? And he parks the car in a no parking zone, and a police officer comes and is like, oh, what's going on here? And there's one of the sleeping bags a little bit coming out of the trunk. They use the sleeping bags to kidnap people, and so there's someone in the trunk. And so a police officer comes, and then she goes there and tries, oh, and of course he's a weeaboo who just loves manga and anime, and yes, oh, nice Japanese lady, and then he's like, don't do that again. And I think it's a hilarious scene. I think there's so many moments in the new one that are funnier than the old one. I wouldn't call any of these movies a comedy, but I feel like if one is funny, it's a new one. So I don't know what people saw. I'm very confused, as usual, by people's reactions online to movies. And yeah, so I think there's so many differences in both. Even like the ending, like in the original, there's more of a twist than in the new one, because in the new one, you get an idea where it might go. Pretty fine, the beginning. It starts telling you, hey, that's the direction where we're going. And yeah, it's of course a very intense thriller, but yeah, I feel like it's a very well done and very differently done from the original. So even if the plot points are the same, I mean, basically most movies have more or less the same plot points if it's the same genre. So yeah, I don't know what people watched or what they expected here. Like, what did you want? It's a perfectly executed new take on the same idea, which is totally fine with me. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough for these two. I watched them both if you have the chance. For me, the lucky thing was as I said, I watched Serpent's Path, the original, a long time ago. I bought it at the Nippon Connection, maybe 2014 or no, maybe 15. At that time, I wasn't a big Kurosawa fan. I'm sure I have watched one or two of his movies, definitely Cure, but I know I fell asleep, and I haven't really rewatched it since then. But at the Nippon Connection, the opening movie was his Journey to the Shore, which is absolutely fantastic, wonderful movie. And I watched one or two more of his movies at the Nippon Connection that year. And then I was like, yeah, I need his movies. And there was a shop where they sold a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays. Luckily, a lot of third window film stuff. So I just bought it. And like I said, I watched Serpent's Path and never Eyes of the Spider. But since then, I love Kiyoshi Kurosawa. So very, very underrated director, I think, because his style is a little bit understatement. Yeah, it's very elegant, very beautiful. You can enjoy this in all these movies here, but it's not exactly the kind of filmmaker where like, oh my god, yeah, this is so. The things don't immediately get stuck in your brain. So yeah, anyway, I watched the original Serpent's Path long time ago, and I could remember some scenes. I remembered the basic idea, but I didn't remember where it would go from there. And so when I watched the remake last year in the cinema, I was very surprised that it did stuff that I didn't really think of or remember. And yeah,